I want to invite all our listeners to something we've been doing called the All About Pigeons Lounge. Every other Thursday, starting at 6 p.m. Utah time, we open up a casual Zoom hangout for pigeon people from all corners of the hobby rollers, racing, fancy breeds, or even if you're just getting started with pigeons. People have been joining from all over the country and around the world. We just sit back, relax, and talk pigeons. It feels a lot like standing around someone's loft or talking birds at a pigeon show. There's a ton of information that gets shared between fanciers. People bring up ideas, techniques, and little things they've tried in their own lofts that you might have never thought of before. It gives you new things to consider and try with your own setup. One of the really cool parts is seeing different parts of the hobby connect. Roller flyers, racing flyers, and fancy breeders all sharing ideas and experiences together. The lounge opens at 6 p.m. and usually goes for a few hours. You can stop in whenever you want, hang out for as long as you'd like, and head out whenever you're ready. You can find the Zoom link and the details on the All About Pigeons Podcast Facebook page or at pigeonpod.com. We'd love to see you there. Welcome to the All About Pigeons podcast, brought to you by the All About Pigeons nonprofit organization, which is dedicated to promoting education and promotion of the pigeon hobby. Every week, a listener requests to drive our conversations about all things pigeons. Join me, Phillip Fry, as we learn and share stories about these incredible birds in this ancient hobby. Today, we're going to be talking with Joshua Toy, who is new to the pigeon hobby, and of all things, he's doing rooftop flying. So, Joshua, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Philip. Yeah, I am new to the hobby. I appreciate you taking time to have me on. I did hear you promote also, you guys do like a group chat or something on Thursdays.
Right. Yep. The
Yeah,
lounge.
so I would like to participate in those. I think that'd be a very appropriate avenue for me to discuss pigeons,
Yeah.
especially with
Yeah.
learning.
Especially with you starting off on the rooftop. That's pretty unique. Also, if have you ever had lofts any other situations before?
No, I'm like totally like I've only been in the hobby for definitely under a year.
Okay.
Uh, so I'm very new. I'm still learning a lot. I've made quite a few mistakes along the way. But yeah, no, this is my first foray into really, yeah, keeping any kind of bird for sure.
Okay.
I have a cat and a dog, but yeah, I'm new to the bird world.
So, what have you got flying up there right now? Do you got homers or tipplers, or what do you got going on in that loft?
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. So, I have a mix of things. There's a lot of reluctance, I think, in my because I think this is kind of one of the things I sort of wish I honed in on, like from the beginning. But yeah, no, I do have a mix. Most of the birds that I acquired were from either local racers or I got a couple of ornamental birds as well from like a farm in New Jersey.
Really? Okay.
But yeah, I would say it's half homing pigeons and half ornamental birds. So I would say that was one of the first things I kind of wish I dialed in on.
What are some of the ornamental birds that you have? Showbirds, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, so I have two Archangel pigeons. They're
Oh,
incredibly territorial. Those are yeah. So this all. I'll say that I'm pretty sure the birds are very happy, I say that because they're breeding.
yeah.
So, and this is also part of one of the things I need to dial in on for sure. But yeah, so there's two archangels to answer your question, and then there are two old German owl pigeons.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and then
Eh, And then kind of open loft, letting everybody, are they all paired up together with each other, or are they paired up with the homers, or?
yeah, so so let me describe my loft situation here.
Yeah.
It is a rooftop loft. It's relatively small. I would say I'm close to capacity for sure. With about like 20-ish birds. Square footage, I would say it's maybe like 4 by 8.
Okay.
So and then there is an aviary portion connected to it. Um, During the winter, I would open and close that door. Now that it's heating up, I kind of leave that portion to open, and then they still, they use the loft portion for housing and stuff. But yeah, when I bought birds, the people that I bought them from, racing, they very clearly have like, nicer lofts in that they're like divided up in by gender. So, I'm not racing them, so I'm not like worried that they're like mixed with homers and ornamentals per se. I'd say really my main concern now is just being cl at capacity, like I was mentioning.
Right. I'm really curious about this. So rooftop flying, you're carrying all that feed up there. Do you have water access or anything like that?
Yes. I'm doing a poor do job describing my rooftop setup here. It's not like when I like did my initial like research and stuff on like having a rooftop loft, it's not like that New York style where it's like I have it's all flat and it's only like whatever that material. But it's so I live in like a townhouse setup, so so I'm very close to my neighbors.
Okay.
So it's not like just me having exclusive access there. I'm sorry, what was the rest of your question,
So
Phil?
when you're bringing your food up, is it like through a little porthole or is there some?
No, yeah, yeah, it's normal access. Like I just take stairs and
Okay.
stuff. I don't have to like climb ladders or anything like
Okay.
that or go through a portal. I do have water access. I'm fortunate for that. There's like a little
Okay.
hose hookup. So yeah, I am fortunate for that setup. As far as like, yeah, I would say the logistics aren't too crazy in that aspect of things. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing I combat up there is more just like I was mentioning earlier, like extreme weather conditions,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. So what are some of the bigger hurdles that you ran into with like the weather and things like that with that loft?
Well, so I made two lofts. So the first loft I made was it was a I didn't know what I was doing, and I downloaded a loft from online. They had a little blueprint. It's I think it was more for like people who use them for like dog training or something because it's a very small loft.
Okay.
And in that PDF they're like, "Oh yeah, this fits 10 birds." And I don't think it fits 10 birds. I'd be surprised if it fits four birds.
Right.
Um, so I built that and I quickly learned that that was very small. And then I upgraded to a slightly larger loft. The slightly larger loft, well, with weather, like, so snow was the first thing. So, like, in the aviary, my roofs are totally flat on my second loft.
Okay.
Uh, so maybe not the desirable setup, I think. Like my first one is at an angle, but yeah. So just like combating like weight of snow kind of things, but then also I use metal cloth for the aviary and I think that that grating is too small and I need to use a bigger mesh because snows also stacks up on that versus like falling through, which I think would be easier to deal with. So, yeah, just going through the winter was kind of tricky, just dealing with like a lot of the snow maintenance and really I was just more concerned about like the weight of the snow.
Yeah.
Just because like I said, this is like my first loft
Mhm.
and also just dealing with pigeons. So it felt weird to me leaving them in the roof during the winter,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're hardy and
Right.
they did
Yeah. As
fine.
long as you can keep them dry, keep them dry and out of the wind, then they can take some pretty severe cold weather. I mean, they're,
Yeah, that was probably the other thing too, is that you mentioned the moisture too. Yeah. Not too crazy on that front. Just like sealing up any minor leaks and stuff like that. But yeah, really just keeping on top of that and then dealing with wind too. Everything's pretty good now, but my second loft it's made out of metal versus wood, so it's definitely lighter weight. So like on extreme wind days, nothing like crazy happens to it structurally, but like I can hear the metal sometimes and it kind of like freaks me out.
yeah. Yeah. What about when it comes to breeding and stuff like that? Has that been pretty. I mean, you said that they're naturally pairing up and kind of taking off down that road as banding and everything been pretty smooth for you.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned the mixing, which is fine. I think in my mind, I would have had like the first person I bought birds from, he recommended a very specific like door front, like with the cutout. Uh,
Oh, right. Yeah, for like a
yeah.
yeah.
So I think like the next series of upgrades I would like to do is really just figuring out the breeding and figuring out separating them or pairing them off or that sort of thing. As at the moment, yeah, it is kind of free form, if you will. It's not too crazy. There, like I mentioned that the Archangel pigeons can be a little bit of more territorial, it feels like. At least mine are. But yeah, I would say that the like them being territorial is more of an issue than anything. Um,
So when it comes to clubs, so you're in like Philly proper,
yes.
and you've been kind of having a hard time when it comes to finding like an all breeds club or even like a racing club or maybe even like a tippler club or anything like that. Have you been kind of feeling out some of the different clubs that are around your area?
I just did some preliminary research, just like really, like I mentioned, like there was an auction that I was looking into. Do you mean like more like do you mean like a racing club or
It'd be a good way to get your foot in the door with an all breeds club or a race club or a high flyer club, and just kind of even take a look at some of the other lofts because you're dealing with some pretty extreme weather up there. You guys get really hot and you get really cold, and you get a ton of moisture. So it'd be interesting to see what a lot of people are doing, and I bet rooftop flying is pretty common in that area too. Even the more dramatic flat style rooftop flying as well.
I'm actually only familiar with like so like I did look up this one club and they are a racing club, but
Okay.
I'm not actually familiar with like the other types of clubs that you mentioned.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so maybe some of the like an all breeds club where they'll be showing some of the different ornamentals and some of the different various breeds would be another good way to get your foot in the door to try to just get to be familiar with some of the other breeders that are in your area too. And it's always kind of hard at first, you know. I mean, you've already, put yourself out there and tried looking and struck out, unfortunately. It's almost every city or every state has some sort of state club, even if that's just a racing club. But there should be some sort of all breeds club that you can get involved with also. And that'd be a good spot to start.
There has to be like yeah, I think that's just something I need to investigate more thoroughly. I mean, because yeah, I mean, if anything, it's more of a question of how far do I want to drive? Because like PA is pretty big, so like I've definitely even
Right.
in like the resources that I've read, like there's like a lot. I know there's like a lot of pigeons going on
Oh,
in the
yeah.
state overall,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, it always blows me away. I mean, even in, I'm up in northern Arizona, super rural area, and you think you're the only pigeon person, and then you take a couple pigeons up to the swap meet, and then you just get these pigeon people that are coming. I got pigeons in my barn, and I just raise them for enjoyment. And you just never would have known it unless you would have put it out there. Do you free fly your pigeons at all, or are they just kind of in the cage most of the time?
Yeah, so that's the thing that I want to do is I want to
Oh,
free
okay.
fly them, I just free fly them. That's really what my goal is to just like let them fly around the outside. I do let the young birds fly around on the outside.
Okay,
But
good.
that's only I don't even have like a flock. I have like three birds and
Nice.
I let them outside
Yeah.
and I don't like force them to like not sit or anything like that. Like I would say there's like a 75% chance I open the door, toss them out, and then they loop back and then just go in through the trap door
Oh,
immediately.
okay. Yeah.
Um, if they don't do that, then they'll just sit on top of the aviary. But yeah, I do let them free fly. But yeah, I'm trying to eventually let them fly more often. One of the things, uh, not weather related, but you had asked some of the hurdles that I had overcome earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't get predators really on my roof, like at least ground ones. Like I was listening to one of your podcasts earlier actually, and you had mentioned like snakes, and I know like a lot of people mention like raccoons and things like that. I don't have any of that because I'm on a roof, but I do get birds of prey up here. So that's just like once again, like one of the weird things that I thought I would, I didn't think I would need to worry about. But yeah, no, I've had three attacks, including one today. So the first time I literally maybe this is all like maybe in the past months. I mean that I guess that makes sense with the seasons changing.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. They're heavier this time of the year in the fall and the spring, I mean.
so I had one bird get into my loft actually. It
Mhm.
actually did kill one of my old German owl birds. I'm not even really sure how it got in because my there was no like clear sign of entry and my trap was closed at the time. I think it got in through like the metal cloth where it like joins and it like pried in through the side that way. So that was one of the things that so I had to go through and like make sure everything was like really, really sealed. Like the thing was pigeon proof, but not
Yeah,
predator freaking out
yeah,
trying to get in proof, I guess. Another time, so you just made me think of this because another time I was out with those said three birds on my rooftop, and the bird came down even when I was out there. It
yeah.
came within like maybe like 2 feet of me, and it looked at me and freaked out, and then flew off.
Okay.
And then today, I don't think it was like it looks like more like an owl or something, but it was weird because it was like daytime. I don't know the habits of owls, but it had a very round face. That's why I say that. But at lunchtime today, I was going to let those same birds out again. And when I went back out again for lunch, there was like a bird like looking, it was like trying to like get in kind of thing. So I have had quite a few encounters in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's kind of you're establishing yourself as, I hate to say it, but like as a food source for those guys, so definitely try to change your flight times, like don't be predictable as far as that goes. I just got done finishing snake proofing my one loft. And I was joking with the pest control guy. I'm like, dude, I basically built a snake trap. I could breed snakes in this thing because it's so quarter-inch mesh buried all the way down, like it's snake proof. I could put snakes in there and they couldn't get out. But it's also, snakes can't get in. But I mean, like you said, you got to build that thing so tight. Like, yeah, pigeon proof is one thing, but like predator proof, that's that next level too. Yeah, and they've come down before. We were doing a roll off one time and there was a BOP that just kept hanging around by us. And so we're walking with the measuring device by the bird a couple of feet away, and that thing tried coming down on the bird when we're just a couple feet away. And we're waving our arms and stuff, trying to get it away. And when they see a free meal like that, that's just an easy grab. They're just going to really try to go for it.
Yeah,
They're so determined.
yeah, that must have been a hungry bird. Because yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
crazy that they would be so aggressive when like people are around too.
yeah. You just we talked with a ornithologist on this, and he was basically like, train your birds to kind of get used to all these deterrents and just cover your loft with deterrents. So your birds are used to it, but all these different devices going off and everything else will kind of make the predator want to just go on to the next place, because that's what it is. Like you might be one local food source, you might be the drive-through McDonald's or whatever, but maybe there's a easier snack and grab sort of place down the road if your place is too noisy for them. But that's that's a tough one for sure. The birds of prey, they've gone crazy with their numbers. They don't really migrate that anymore. And in the cities, they really hit the pigeon flyers pretty hard, and it's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, yeah, I was just surprised by like the frequency of it. And
Yeah,
then being in the city, yeah, I was surprised too. Just
yeah. Try to mix up your numbers a little bit, and so you got a lot of breeders. It sounds like then, right? You got a lot of breeders that are making babies.
right now, I actively have I think I have four pairs that are
Okay.
making eggs, and then I have one pair that a pair of homers that are they're like paired off, but they're not breeding.
Huh. Are they older?
Yes, so these ones I did buy from a racer nearby. I got them just because they were they're black eagle pigeons, he said. They're black.
Okay.
But yeah, they are a little bit older. They're not like, you know, 10 years old or anything like that. But
Okay. Yeah. And homers, they breed pretty well. I mean, you should get some babies pumped out pretty quick. And, it's they'll, they'll exchange themselves out fast enough. They always say never fly your breeders. And there's things you can do. You can soap them up and tape off their flights and ground them and stuff like that. But there's a good chance they're gonna, especially if he's a racing guy, I'm sure he's trained those birds. So he's probably done releases with them and they're probably used to flying back home. So maybe just let the birds have some babies, replace themselves, get some numbers up there for you. And yeah, fly the babies. I know it's not a huge flock right now, but it's something. You're putting something up in the air.
yeah, no, I have three. I said I have three, and then I got there's three that are they're squabs still, I guess. So soon I'll have double those numbers.
Are you a member of the NPA, the National Pigeon Association?
I am not, no.
So that's a really good organization too for the fancy breed, mainly because they have a directory that they put out at the end of the year, and you
Mhm.
can browse through the directory and look up people locally. So you can look up people locally in your area that are breeding, and it'll say, this person's breeding this person's breeding that. And you can just call them and say, hey, I'm new to pigeons, I'm doing this, and that's a good way to connect too is actually through the NPA. And they do a big show once a year. I think this year it's in Missouri.
The
But that's like,
NPA.
yeah, so that's the National Pigeon Association.
Okay.
They're doing like their Grand Nationals, like 5,000 pigeons. It's a big show. And it's more showbirds, not really flying, not really competitive. But you'll see roller guys there, tippler guys there,
Oh, cool.
former guys there. So you'll see all the other aspects of it. Parlor roller guys will be there and they'll do roll offs. So there'll be the different aspects, but it's going to be a lot of the showmanship. But it's a good way to also connect and really meet with somebody local in your area and see what their loft setup looks like, see what they're doing. And also, sometimes these older clubs, it's hard to be in a club and really find where people are at. So some people might be really on one social media thing and some people might not want nothing to do with that. So being able to be visible to everybody is tricky. It is hard. But
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there's not something nearby that people are getting together and showing pigeons. If there's an auction place, man, get to that auction place. Just talk to some pigeon people. That's probably really good right there. What's the auction
Yeah,
place hosted by?
I'm sorry.
Who's the auction place hosted by? Do you know who's hosting that auction?
I know I just know the name of the club. Is that what you mean?
Oh, okay. So it is a pigeon club that's hosting the auction, or
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's a club
oh,
that
okay.
so it's in they have some events. Like I've only seen their event list online. Like I saw they have like young bird auctions and things like that. They do
Oh,
host some
okay.
scene things like that. Yeah, no, I would say that's like the next big thing too. Like is being involved in some sort of like club, not necessarily racing per se, but that is something that would be of interest to me for sure. Yeah, and I'm frequently online, looking up different resources, different whatever books. I got a copy of the Coup magazine. I read your article.
Nice, nice. Yeah, the Koo's a great magazine. Purebred Pigeon,
Mhm,
that's good. And so with the NPA, you also get quarterlies, which are good.
mhm.
Articles by breeders. The NBRC, that's going to be more specific to rollers and stuff. But even joining some of the bigger clubs, that's a great way to really get involved with it too. I mean, so with everything that you guys, so how did you even first hear about pigeons and really get started with it?
Um, I mean, I guess I don't have any sort of special connection in that regard. Like I mean, Really just I know that it exists as a thing, either through movies or things of that
All right.
nature.
Okay.
I'd always known about it like as a kid. But I'm sort of new to Philly, so it just seemed like a cool hobby and I like the idea of pigeons.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's always something that piqued my interest.
yeah.
I do I am active like sort of like on not in clubs and stuff, but there are some like people online that I've seen like on Instagram, those sorts of th platforms. And so like I'll ask them questions on like on these sorts of things who are these
Yeah.
people who are flying and stuff like that.
So, what has been like some of the most helpful resources for a new flyer coming into it with, all the questions and, not belonging to a club and looking for answers and stuff? What's kind of been your go-to?
That's a good question. I think it's hard, well, because like one thing, for example, like you mentioned like the the thing about like not flying the adult birds, for example. Like I mentioned that like my goal was to fly birds. So like even something like that was like I'm of the opinion that you just said for sure. Or I'm actually I don't know if but I think there's been like a conflicting resources or like conflicting information sometimes if like whatever if you're using a lot of different resources. So I ran into so that stuck out because I ran into that issue unfortunately where like I had a decent amount of birds that made it through the winter and all that, so that was X amount of months, and I decided to fly one of my adult birds, and it was an adult bird. I had it for months, and it was paired off, so I thought that was a safe bird to fly. That bird did not return, unfortunately. But also on my list of accidents with the loft is I accidentally left the door open and several of my adult white homers got out, but all of those birds returned.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So, like, I mean, that was also kind of annoying because they didn't know how to trap, so they were all like attacking the aviary essentially. But I was able to wrangle them in. But yeah, so like to answer your question directly, like I like the there's you'll know what I'm talking about. The pigeon, there's like a big message board that's specifically pigeons. Pigeon talk or something or biz or something. It's just a forum.
Okay.
But there's one message board for that. I've looked at some stuff on Reddit too. Those are okay. There are some really nice like community written, like huge, like maintained pieces that I've found. Those are pretty good. I have several books that I've purchased. So I'm actually in, I have I'm fortunate where I work in with textbooks. So I have access to a lot of literature. So
Nice.
I've read a lot of weird, old books. I say weird because like the first book about pigeons I read was on accident about it was specifically about squab farming, which didn't have too much use for me.
Oh, those are great, man. The old Levi books on making pigeons pay and
Yes, yes,
those
that's
old,
what it was. Making
that's
pigeons
what it
pay.
was. Nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
they,
they talk about lofts. That was
yeah,
very
exactly, right. So they're talking like commercial lofts. So they're not like, from the heart, this works efficiently. Like,
yeah, yeah.
so you just scale it down a little bit and they'll sort it out for you. Yeah, that's a good book actually. I like that book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, the
yeah,
loft part was very relevant for sure.
yeah.
There's just like a lot of parts about like profiting that were less
Right,
relevant.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Loft management on point for pretty much all pigeon fanciers. The other half of the book, yeah, because yeah, the prices and stuff are kind of funny, because it was written
Oh
so
yeah,
long
yeah.
ago. But
They're like, oh
yeah,
yeah, it costs 2 cents to raise a chicken
right.
versus one
Yeah,
cent to raise a pigeon. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
They need to put the calculator back through for today's time to see because I don't even
right.
know. I mean, I think there's still some of that happening, but yeah, some of the old pigeon books, I mean, they're still really good. Um, they're classics for a reason. Of course, there's the encyclopedia for the breed varieties and stuff like that. But those are good resources if you can find them.
Yeah, so I do have access to a good amount of that kind of thing. I have purchased some it's hard to find like a lot of pigeon-centric books on like current literature, like on
Mm.
whatever your Amazons, but there's I forget the name of this website too, but a used bookstore online. I don't know if they like reprint books, but you can essentially get everything that was like ever printed uh
Oh,
on this
okay.
website. So they do have like a lot of older literature or like very specific literature on like any one given breed, that kind of stuff. Stuff like that, yeah. Just like books, a lot of online platforms. Really online stuff is a big resource for sure. Mhm.
So for people that are listening that are maybe like, let's say someone's listening to this who runs the Philly club and they're like, how have we not reached this guy? What would you say to like somebody who, can provide resources for new flyers and to be more helpful? Like, what would you like to see out there for new flyers?
Well, I mean, like for me, like I said, like from like a lot of the issues that I came into were mostly around the rooftop setup and dealing with the loft sizing, and then also, like I said, like I wish I had a more focused approach on setting up like the breeding stuff beforehand versus like now I'm kind of in the state of like control now in like sort of now how do I make sure this doesn't like exacerbate to a crazy extent.
Yeah.
So yeah, like yeah, I would say the biggest hurdle for me is the loft and like in just dealing with that and doing yeah, so like I mentioned that I had two lofts too. Like the first loft I made was smaller, but it was actually arguably better because it was like wood and like versus like the metal setup I think is I don't know, it's just harder, I feel like. Yeah, but probably just mostly like just loft setup is the stuff that am mostly concerned about. Also, like the rooftop thing, I think I have it down a little bit better, but like yeah, it just felt like a slightly different because like all the resources are more like yard centric. It does seem like.
Yeah. And also it's depends on where you are for sure.
Yeah.
If you were to build a loft like we do out here in Arizona where it's just wire floors, three out of the four sides are wires, then your birds would have some pretty rough seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing that's like yeah, so the geography is huge too. So like to your
Yeah.
point, like I talk to a lot of people online and like these and I see their lots and then
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think I can have like to your point like I think I need the four walls like I have them now just because
Mhm.
like I can't have that like kind of totally exposed aviary setup.
Yeah. And
Um
that's what you see like in Michigan and Wisconsin. Like they'll have a boxed off area with good upper and lower ventilation, but still have an aviary, outside. And they have control. They got little doors on everything. So, they'll still have access. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one book that I did get in like they kind of it's an older book like you know in that same era of making pigeons pay so it's a very old book but they go over different lofts in different areas but this is like one of the only books that I saw that did mention like a very specific rooftop setup um uh about what some guy in Chicago who had a rooftop loft
Right.
but yeah, he had like it was still like a much bigger setup. Yeah, the biggest hurdle has definitely just been handling my loft and really the sizing of it, I think is kind of a hurdle. I do a lot of I clean it frequently. So I do just because of the size. I'm very on top of the maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah. Smaller like that for sure. You want to stay on top of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. One of the things, what's that?
I actually shop vac it.
Oh, okay. You got a big
Yeah.
shop vac up there that runs it all out?
Yeah, so I can keep a shop vac up because it's a shop vac, so it's much more durable. But yeah, I just keep a shop vac up on the roof and then I probably do vacuum it probably once a day. They're pretty used to it.
Huh.
They're more freaked out by me being inside the loft than they are by the vacuum cleaner, I think.
Nice. You can get them pretty much trained to anything, you just stay consistent with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta jump into the lounge sometime. So we do the lounge every second and fourth Thursday of the month. And yeah, starts at 6 p.m. The guy, who's hosting it for us is in Utah. So at 6 p.m. Utah it starts, ends at 10 p.m. And it's just drop in whenever. So it doesn't actually, it's not a meeting or anything like that. But man, some of the stuff that we get to talk about, because we got people from all over the world. So you got people with lofts that are in very cold climates, roller racer, fancy people, whatever. So yeah, the amount of information that gets shared in that lounge is it's be very helpful. So I mean, especially for new flyers and stuff like that. I mean, people sharing all kinds of ideas.
Yeah, no, I did hear about that. That sounds like the perfect resource in all honesty.
Yep.
Yeah. So like
So,
yeah, I would definitely like to be in touch with more experienced keepers for all aspects of things. I'm constantly updating things in the loft and with the birds. So
yeah,
like,
yeah. That's a great place to ask questions and
yeah,
just,
yeah.
get ideas to try out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Try something else, But oops. Yeah, no, it's a great thing. Come in, check it out. But we're coming up against the clock here. But Joshua, thanks for coming on. And, I think a lot of people can relate to a lot of the stuff you're going through. And I think that you pointed out a lot of good resources and ways to overcome these hurdles. So, appreciate that as well.
Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time and I know there's more experienced keepers out there, so I appreciate the time. I do have a website as well that's a stream of the birds. So
Okay.
I have cameras in my loft as well. They're not on 24/7, but I do keep them on like 10 hours a day. So uh,
Nice.
it's doveloveloft.blog.
Okay.
It's a long phrase, but
We'll definitely send it over to me and we'll put it down in the episode description too so people can check out your loft and everything else that you've been describing here for us. That's really cool. I like that.
yeah. So check it out. I appreciate it. Thank you, Philip, and
All
I'll
right.
definitely pop into the Thursday chat.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I'll see you at the lounge for sure.
Thank you. Have a good one.
I want to invite all our listeners to something we've been doing called the All About Pigeons Lounge. Every other Thursday, starting at 6 p.m. Utah time, we open up a casual Zoom hangout for pigeon people from all corners of the hobby: rollers, racing, fancy breeds, or even if you're just getting started with pigeons. People have been joining from all over the country and around the world. We just sit back, relax, and talk pigeons. It feels a lot like standing around someone's loft or talking birds at a pigeon show. There's a ton of information that gets shared between fanciers. People bring up ideas, techniques, and little things they've tried in their own lofts that you might have never thought of before. It gives you new things to consider and try with your own setup. One of the really cool parts is seeing different parts of the hobby connect. Roller flyers, racing flyers, and fancy breeders all sharing ideas and experiences together. The lounge opens at 6 p.m. and usually goes for a few hours. You can stop in whenever you want, hang out for as long as you'd like, and head out whenever you're ready. You can find the Zoom link and the details on the All About Pigeons Podcast Facebook page or at pigeonpod.com. We'd love to see you there. Thank you for listening to another ad-free, listener-requested episode of the All About Pigeons podcast. If you like the show and want to help it keep it going, as well as supporting your other pigeon promotional work, head to the website PigeonPod, that's pigeonpod.com. You can make a donation there. If you can't make a donation today, support the show by giving us a good 5-star review wherever you're listening to us at right now. That really helps the podcast and helps the algorithm get us out there to other people who might not know about Pigeon Podcast. If you have any episode requests, upcoming pigeon shows, competition results, or you want to be a guest on the show and just talk about some pigeons, or you have a shout out for a friend, shoot us an email at staff@pigeonpod.com. Thanks again for listening. We really appreciate your support. And remember, together the hobby thrives. Support each other and enjoy your pigeons.